ask you to guide and direct us and look over us in all we do. And these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll officially call our meeting to order, and I want to apologize in advance tonight. I've been blessed with this wonderful cough that's been going around, so I'll do my best to not cough into this microphone as we proceed. We'll move right into the consent agenda items tonight. We have minutes from our January 21st meeting and then our financial reports from January. Mr. Owens, is there anything you'd like to highlight in those?
The only thing you may have noticed on the operating fund that the balance was lower this month, and that's the result of a fairly large debt service payment that actually wasn't there last year, but that was budgeted, and so nothing that we didn't anticipate. But always, again, looking at operating fund, it's always a good idea to look at the beginning balance, ending balance, and typically this time of year you'll start to see that move in a progressive manner because you start to collect your local taxes, local paying from the house payments and all. You start collecting that, so you normally see some pretty good collections from there. From July to December, our local collections were down just a little bit, and again, we don't know exactly why, but we are at least guaranteed 98% of that from the state, so maybe the end of the year before we recoup that. But outside of that, nothing really significant. Everything else is within budget and kind of right where we have projected.
And I guess I would point out to the other members that our summary sheet normally is very close, but with our building funds moving in and out of that now, you may need to move on over into some of the detail to see where some of those dollars are actually going. But most of that is construction-related expenses, and if you have any questions, be sure and just ask and understand where that money is moving through those accounts at this point. Are there any questions? Not, I would open the floor for a motion on the approval of the consent agenda.
So moved. I second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we go to new business, item A.
ABC, this is just an item for discussion. We've been in talked with the board. You guys may remember that we looked and did some surveys about before and after school care and also for our preschool care. The ABC Children's Academy that previously had our ABC program, whenever we moved out of the old elementary school during the transition, they bought a couple of buildings across from the library, and they have the recovery zone, which they do speech and OT and PT down there, but they also do, they picked up our 2 ABC slots, which was approximately 40 kids. They also do a before and after school program. We just approached them and asked them if they would be interested in putting their services in our elementary building. We had talked about needing preschool, and we talked about wanting to have a before and after school care as well, and we had some cost factors and things like that with it we were a little bit concerned about. After talking to them, they were really excited to get into our building and offer those services. So it'd be actually 2 different things. It would be two ABC, which is Arkansas Better Chance, which is a state-run preschool for 3 and 4 year olds. 2 classes with a maximum of 20 each. And the other part would, again, just be before and after school care, which, again, our parents have stated that they really need, and we feel like it would be a good service to our parents to provide that, because many of our working parents, it's hard for them to get here. The 8 to 3:30 schedule doesn't fit a lot of folks working, so we feel like that could be, again, a good service to our parents. Recovery Zone has several ABC programs in Dardanelle. They have several businesses in Russellville. So again, they're fairly respected. Dana Warren is who runs it. Some of you again may know Dana. And again, they were in the building before. I talked with Josh. Josh had met with Dana, and he actually had went out to the building and looked at what they have. I know at times some of the board has mentioned that preschool is not exactly our cup of tea, and so this almost takes care of it because it is what they do, and they would run this and probably end up paying us some rent. We haven't talked about that as far as the dollar amount, but to me it seemed like a potential win-win there for us, and I wanted to just throw that out to you and let you think about it, digest it, see if you had any questions. Again, one of the things that it has prompted me the hardest to pursue this the last 2 years, our kindergarten numbers have dropped roughly 10 to 15. We have roughly 85 kids in kindergarten the last 2 years, and we've been averaging at least 100. And as we talk to parents who transfer out, they say it's preschool and before school and after school care. So if we get them in the building, we know we got a great building. If they get there, they're going to be comfortable and they're going to like the building. We think if we get them there, we're going to keep them there. And so that is strictly my rationale for wanting to do this. Would we have to do this? No, we wouldn't. But certainly, again, I want the board to think about it and get your thoughts and see if you think it's a good idea and see if it's something you think we should pursue.
Any liabilities that you can foresee on the part of the school with this, as far as legal liabilities,
They will.
personal liabilities?
They'll provide liability insurance. When we had the contract with them before, they provided $100,000 worth of liability insurance, so we can require that.
Their personnel have to go through the standard security clear background checks, security clearances,
would.
so forth and so
They
on.
would.
Seems to me like it's a win-win.
Yeah, they use certified teachers for the ABC. Again, they're already doing the before school and after school. I mean,
Win-win. And they'd be occupying the wing that's now the 5th and 6th grade in the elementary.
probably would probably be more on the kindergarten wing. Would be on the east side
Okay.
of the building.
So no problems as far as utilization of space, and if we grow,
Right.
Having
Still
a-
got. I mean, if they use two, and they would use the same two classrooms for ABC, and then before school and after school, they would use the same two classrooms. And this is all contingent upon the building being finished by the time school starts, or roughly we'll move 5th grade out. 5th grade occupies 4 classrooms now, so that would still leave us 2 classrooms for growth. If you want to, I would suggest you think about it, study it.
there'd be contracts involved
There
here.
would
that
be
we-
contracts, yes.
And we have legal assistance in that area.
We do. We actually have brought up, we had a contract when, again, they were in the old intermediate building before, for a year or so, and then previously they were in the old elementary. They actually had, had 2 ABC classes, and they had Head Start and Early Head Start. They had almost 100 kids in the elementary, and so again, we had contracts with them that we had drawn up, and we ran that for 4 or 5 years, and again, it worked well.
Mr. Chairman, I think we need to have our administration pursue it.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement, conceptually, that this is something that could benefit the community and the school district, and we're in a situation where we have space available at this time, so I'm in agreement that I think it's a very valid thing to consider look into. I know they have very high standards that they have to operate to, and they're licensed through early childhood, and it's a very closely supervised program. So I know the oversight of that program is stringent, and that would fit in with what we currently do. So I'm satisfied with that part of it very well.
Good. And again, I think it's I think it's a win-win for Dover. Childcare, again, is something that we lack in some areas, and she has already said if they're able to put these 40 kids, these 40 ABC kids in our building, and she's gonna pursue a grant to get another 20 to 40 kids to replace them at her building. So again, it keeps that up, and it just provides a lot more child care services, and you know, one of the things that we know is a proven, is child care and a preschool. So I'm excited about it if you guys are. I think it's great for the community, great for our kids, great for parents, and the after-school program, you know, I think will be a big plus to parents. If parents working in Russellville and they can't get here until 5 o'clock, we'll take care of their kids. I think that's a big plus.
Would there be a grade cap that we would put on that, or
A number,
meaning up to the what's in that elementary building, or would that be for?
well, of course,
For the after school.
The ABC, you have to apply for those slots, and that would be set. That'd be set at 40 right now.
I'm talking about the after
Now,
school.
the after school would just be, you know, you could put a cap on it right now. She said right now, I think they have about 17. that they have.
Grades, like up through 5th grade or up through
Right.
You know,
7th grade.
probably up through, if it's K through 4 over there, again, I'm doing all these things with the assumption that 5th grade will be moved over to the new building, then I think it would be K4. You know, what we're gonna do with 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, again, I talked to them about that. They don't have it, they said they might be interested in doing that later, but, and I really wouldn't wanna put 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders over with kindergartners, so I think it's really important to keep the kids where they are. And so we would look to do an after-school here at middle school, something different. Probably be something we'd have to run, but at least it would take a lot of the burden of hiring teachers and that other part of it there, but something.
That makes sense to limit to that building
Right.
over there. That would be a little easier to administer.
I'd feel strong about that.
It might present a problem with siblings, though.
It could, and I would think, you know, as things come up, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, something we'd have to look at maybe.
Yeah, it wouldn't be any more problem than what currently exists, because
That's
Right.
true.
You got to start somewhere.
there's nothing now. So,
Good idea. Let's pursue
We'll
that.
continue to
We'll
explore
continue
that.
to pursue that, keep you up to date.
Okay, we'll move on to item B, Elizabeth Street drainage.
For the last couple of years, I've been talking with our mayor about our project out here on Elizabeth Street. It has drain issues, and it constantly washes out our ditch and constantly washes out the road. Twice he's had to come in and repair that. We've talked on numerous occasions about how great that would be if we could cover that ditch and put curb and gutter there, and then put a sidewalk along that too. So many of our times, our kids for PE or other things, they circle the building and they're just having to walk down the road. And if we could get them on the sidewalk, that would certainly be a big safety improvement, as well as getting that ditch covered. And again, we're talking about Elizabeth Street, South Elizabeth Street, right up here. And again, you may have noticed that ditch has been there for a long time. Our mayor had put together a grant, and he was awarded a grant. And then from there, once he got the grant, he solicited 3 bids for this project. The low bid come in at $32,600. His grant, the state GIF grant, was $16,825. That left a remaining balance of $15,775 for us to again cover that. Put a pipe in there, put a couple of two drop inlets, I believe, and then you'd have a sidewalk from the upper part of Pirates Loop all the way down to our bus road back behind here. And we might even look at putting in a sidewalk later alongside the fence in front of the junior parking lot, and that would just get us almost to the private property where that little house is just come sale up there. So that's the project that is before you.
I'm a little confused as far as where the sidewalk starts and ends. So,
The sidewalk will start at Pirates Loop right up here at the corner.
okay. So if you want to leave from the gym, you would never have to get into the road. You could be on the sidewalk. And it would go all the way to the football field?
It would go all the way to the football field, that's right. Now, there's one little section that's not in this, at this point here. There's a section right in front of the junior parking lot where the fence is, on the other side of Pirates Loop, the pavement on the other side of Pirates Loop, to the private property. It's just, I don't know, 30, 40 feet, not very long. And then it becomes private property there, and the mayor said that he will try to pick that up to the next house. There's already an existing sidewalk there.
Okay.
So it would, the long-term plan would be that you could walk all the way from this back road here, the bus road, all the way to the football field and be on the sidewalk. Pat, anything you want?
Just, I mean, this is gonna run in conjunction with, we've got a state aid grant that will probably put an overlay from Valley Street where it meets 7, and it'll come up to Elizabeth and go down to the entrance to the elementary school. And, you know, this, you know, when we build this, we'll leave that edge there for that overlay to come up against. So it'll all, you know, fit together. Hopefully, we're trying to do like about 22 foot in this roadway from Valley down to Pirates Loop. Now, from there on, we're gonna get everything we can as far as width, because we've got the buses running both ways, and it's an
It's
issue.
tight.
We've got ditches on both sides, and you can see how much it costs to have covered drainage. So it's just almost impossible to do that all the way up through there. But I think, you know, it'll make the looks of the high school really look good.
I think it'll improve it a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's a great start.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion, we approve the Dover Schools cooperation portion of the drainage project for $15,775.
Second.
Have a motion, second before us. Any further questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
It's a
Appreciate-
safety issue for me.
Appreciate
It's
you
a
doing that.
safety issue for me.
It is.
Those kids get out on that road all the time.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate you getting that together.
Thanks for the cooperation there. We appreciate that very much.
Any idea on timing?
Well, I mean, we're ready because we've already got our grant money. Mr. Owens and I have talked. Of course, the biggest problem is traffic in there. I think we can, you know, it won't disrupt too much, but we were thinking more like spring break, you know, when that way they can get in there. It won't take very long to do the job. But, in this overlay project, this state, and I don't know, I'm just kind of at their beck and call. I know I've got the grant, but I haven't got official word on it yet. So I don't, they'll come in, they've still got to engineer it and everything, so it'll probably be, I don't know, it may be late summer before we get that overlay project.
All sounds positive.
Yeah.
It's a positive, you bet.
All right, item C, middle school furniture bids.
Okay, we've had Mr. Forehand and his staff working very, very hard on furniture with Burco. You can see a list, and this involves student desk and some teacher's desk and just a whole plethora of furniture. The quote from Burco, they are a member of U.S. Communities, which is actually 2% cheaper than Kip Tap. I want to bear in mind that we have in our construction budget, we budgeted $300,000. I'm going to ask you to go over that tonight, but we have some contingency that I think we're still in good shape, and as we look at our construction, I think we're going to be able to absorb this. I say this, that the Burco bid, the next bid is going to involve the science furniture, which is higher than I thought it would be. And you've also seen pictures of the science desk, which I think are pretty cool. But anyway, we whittled on this Burco bid twice and cut it down. From one time, it was about $220,000. So they've worked and tried to use what they can use. But where it doesn't, again, we don't want it to look like a hodgepodge. We, got a brand new building, and we've tried to look and see what will match and what won't. And So with that, with Burco, we've come to $167,100. And I would recommend that we take this bid from Burco on school furniture.
This will mean every new classroom has new furniture.
Yes. Yeah.
No,
Well,
no hand-me-downs?
No. Every class except for 5th and 6th grade science. And we're using the existing, I think, your daughter may, if you look at the science tables that's in her room right now, those really good heavy-duty science tables, we're gonna move those to 5th and 6th grade. So we thought they were really good.
The slate tables?
Yeah, those slate, we thought they were too good. And they have some really heavy-duty maroon chairs that we're gonna use.
Will those classes get any of the new lab?
They will. They'll get new labs, and new cabinets, and those different things there.
But the normal classroom, English, history, literature classes are getting all new furniture, new desks,
All new tables, all new desks. Yes,
so no wobbly chairs for the kids.
that's right. And the chair is in here. It's a chair that Burco's been making for 50 years and has a lifetime warranty. It's just a little over $28 a chair. It has a lifetime warranty.
And
So
no stuck drawers for the teachers.
that's right.
That's aggravating when you can't get to your paperwork.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think I'll remind you all the previous discussions, we knew when we budgeted 300,000 that was going to be very, very tight. But that was the figure that we went into the project with, but we also had contingency that we knew that we could roll over into, and the 300,000 is as tight as we thought it was going to be.
Didn't we just come in under budget for around the same amount of money that we're going to go over budget not too long ago?
We have, and I still think we're in very, very good shape
So
on
it's
our
a-
budget, and we're moving some of those around slightly, but I think we're going to still be very well within where we thought, and there's not really been any great surprises so far.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we purchase our furniture from Verco with this particular quote.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for purchase at $167,100 from Verco. Any further questions or discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Teachers will appreciate that, and students.
Then we'll move right to the science furniture.
Science, you have again a detailed list of 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade science furniture. I'll be able to send you a picture of the 7th and 8th grade science tables, which we're very excited about. Had gas and electricity and water right there at the table. It'll be actually the design for 4, but we can probably get 5 students depending upon the needs of the class, and these tables will raise up when they're at a lab and lower when the students are sitting. The new science standards, the new generation science standards require 80% lab work and 20% class as opposed, and that's a flip-flop. So, this is going to be a big step in allowing these students to get 80% of their lab work, because it'll just, teacher can teach a 10, 15-minute lesson, they can stand right up and do an experiment. So it really should be something that's really neat for our students. Again, you guys have all been in a science room, and you know the different type of the tops that they have to have on the counters all the way around, and the shelving in the new classroom. And so this gives them all new shelves and countertops, again, with the exception of the 5th and 6th grade, which had a similar type of table already that we felt that was just too good to walk away from. So, it's got a rent station, demo desk, microscopes, a microscope case, a goggles case, Bennett hoods, and all the different things that you gotta have for standards is in this price. And this is from Misco, and again, they are a tip-tap vendor. They have submitted a bid total of detailed, from this detailed list is $157,691.99. And I'd recommend we make this purchase for our new middle school.
Okay, as that quote actually didn't get in our packets, I'll ask if anybody has any questions or needs any clarification on that. I think we've seen the pictures of it, we know the concept of it, but does anybody have any questions on that?
Ms. Joe, it's,
It's-
from
It's not
Ms.
this
Joe.
one.
Well, that's all part of it. This is different. This is-
Mine's right after my
This is
Virgo.
item
Right after-
nine.
should be right after
Tom
work.
doesn't have it.
Mine's
This is-
not, so,
There you go.
Okay.
That's what
As long as
There's
everybody has it,
Misco
I have
Sales
seen it.
Contract LLC.
Yes, I have seen it, and I know what it is, but I want to make sure that y'all have the information before we ask for a vote on that.
And then it goes here.
Yeah.
This is the item.
Thank you.
I'll show
They
move,
have-
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, anybody got any questions?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second from Mr. Evans.
I missed the motion. Who made it?
Angie was a second, did you get that? Okay, thank you. All right, those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Yes, thank you very much. Awful exciting to put the money where the kids are. Good thing.
all right. Then we move on to laptop.
Teacher laptop. Last year, we purchased about half the teachers the laptop, and this quote here would be for the other half, basically middle school and high school teachers. 30 laptops comes to $13,127.42. Again, another tap dealer that we've dealt with a lot. And purchased similar laptops before for our teachers. So again, keeping up with our technology for our students and our teachers, I'd recommend this proposal.
I move we purchase the laptops for $13,127.42 as presented. Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second down at this end this time, so. Any further questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Clicking right along, we have a request for an out-of-state trip.
Senior trip, as per board policy, we have in our board policy that seniors are able to take one trip per year. They have to leave that morning and get back that night. It's not an overnight trip. They are requesting to go to the Memphis Zoo, departing the high school at 6 o'clock in the morning. This is on March the 2nd. Arrive at the Memphis Zoo, you can see the itinerary there. Getting back at Dover High School at about 11 p.m. that night. All costs will be provided by the senior class, including the bus trip, the fuel and the driver and the whole 9 yards. Miss Collins, Miss Life, is all excited about taking this trip. Ella, anything you want to add?
No, the only thing the kids will have to pay for is a $5 entrance fee to the zoo and their meals, because we'll have to eat at least twice.
Y'all raised the other money.
It's leftover fundraising from our prom. We have about $1,700 in our account right now. We need, if everybody goes, about $1,200 for the trip, and then that'll still leave us the money we need for graduation.
Okay.
I've got a question about this, on this transportation cost. Why are, yeah, I've had this question before, but paying for the drivers and sub-drivers.
Yeah, I mean, it's just typically
I don't
it's just
understand.
typically what we do. I mean, because the district has budgeted for a driver. And typically, again, it's been the practice of a district whenever, if a driver who's on a contract, if he goes and takes this trip, he still gets paid for his contract amount.
Right.
And so the district is still paying his contract amount. So whenever if they take a trip and we hire a sub, then if the district paid for that, then that would be in addition to the contract amount that we're already paying him. So we would be paying him twice.
But you're gonna be having to pay a driver regardless, so it should only come out of their budget one time, so either the subs or the driver, not both.
Do we have to pay the
I
contract,
don't
the normal
understand that.
contracted bus driver, do we have to pay him more to go on the trip? Is that what you're saying?
We pay him, I mean, let's just say we have a contracted driver. If he drives for Ella on his trip, they still get paid their contracted day for driving, say it's on Wednesday. We're gonna pay him for driving Wednesday, his route. we're not docking him.
Mhm.
That's again, that's just a practice. If you say, well, why do you pay him for that? Again, if you can't get a driver to go. If you don't pay them for that on these other trips, then they won't go.
Do we also pay him something for going to Memphis?
Well, that's what would be in the cost of the trip here.
Yeah.
They will pay him for going to Memphis, and then they also pay for the sub driver that's having to pay for.
So there's like a prorated amount, we're not paying him, they're not having to pay him his daily rate and then.
No,
for Memphis.
that's right. They just
They're paying the additional amount.
They're paying whatever the additional amount is, because the district still pays the original amount. We're still having to pay him. It's just one of those things we have to do to get bus
So it's
drivers. I wish
all
we-
added cost.
Okay.
I
All
think it's
added
the way that
cost.
this is written up,
Yeah.
because it does say that we're paying trip drivers was 2, and then we're paying subs, 2 of those,
Mhm.
and then they've got the extra mileage out here in the hours over 8, I think is what is a little confusing.
You know, if it was the deal where we had plenty of drivers and we could just use trip drivers, then we wouldn't have to do that, but we pretty much have to use our route drivers, and so that's kind of what we have to do.
What are you gonna do at the pyramid?
Shop.
What's in there?
Is it the Bass
It's
Pro
a
Shop?
big Bass Pro Shop.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me, I looked at this trip and said, really? This is where you guys want to go?
Yeah. I have a senior.
Barely out of state, barely had to get approval. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just Memphis there.
It's still across that river.
That's
About
right.
like Branson.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Make a motion that we approve the out-of-state trip for senior class.
Second.
Okay, have a motion, a second. Any further questions? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
All right. I would say, again, I appreciate all the fundraising that's already been done and the hard work and everything that y'all put into taking care of these kids. We appreciate that also. All right, we have a school calendar up next.
Proposed school calendar, our process is, this year is the same as it is in the past. We get a group of teachers from each building, we get our principals to get a calendar committee. They come together and they meet with the PPC and they hash out the things that they like and don't like and get suggestions from their building. They all come together and make this proposal. Ms. Bosnick kind of headed up this committee. Couple of highlights, if you look at the first day of school, August 15th.
It's getting earlier and earlier.
It is, the
I am not a
law,
fan.
the law allows you to
I would like to veto
start,
this calendar.
yeah, on the Monday of the 18th. So that's why we're able to start on the 15th. So we actually like that, being able to
Earlier you
start
start, the earlier you can get out.
You know what, I don't have any school babies anymore, so
early. We got the same,
Then y'all won't start,
It's-
students, they can start that early.
it's must get off my nerves.
this week off, the 21st and 22nd of November is very important to teachers. That's the one thing that they say they really like that.
Yeah.
So,
And just as a side note, Russellville approved theirs last night, and they have a week off.
they now have that. So we kind of
So,
It took years. for us
guided
to-
them in that
they
direction.
kept holding the same.
So does this show us being out as early as May 25th potentially?
I believe it does. And that's
It's pretty early.
last day, assuming we have no snow day, May 25th. So you see the spring break, the flex days, snow days, the February 23rd. It's a flex day now, but if it were to snow, then we'd use it for our makeup day.
We don't have the graduation date put in here for reason, what's,
Of the graduation day,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
don't know contracts or.
right, with Arkansas Tech. That's why that's not in yet.
What's that?
Since winter has forsaken us this year, we don't know what's
Yeah.
going to be next year.
Okay, any other questions on the calendar? Appreciate all the arm twisting that went into that. I would have liked a bit of fly on the wall in some of those meetings to see who prevailed, but anyway, hopefully it went well.
The teachers really try to work from the perspective of what's best for the students, and they're really toyed with, the length of days off and stuff, but with the absences that occur around some of the holidays, they felt like that this was.
Do we need a motion to approve this?
We do.
I'll make that motion.
Motion and second on the approval of the 16-17 calendar. Any final questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you for your vote on that.
It's a good calendar, thank you, guys. A lot of work on that.
We're going to move to some proposed ASBA policy revisions.
Again, these are the winter updates. For the most part, these should only be minor changes. Sometimes they're just some grammar changes that they make in there. We have discovered a couple things that I'm going to ask you to pull. One being 4.11, deals with equal educational opportunity. Tom, was there another one that mirrored that one?
3.19,
3.19?
we both discovered errors in, and we're going to bring those back with those errors corrected.
And then also discovering, Verna was talking with ASBA today, they asked us to pull 5.11 digital learning courses. Verna, did they tell you why they wanted you to pull that one?
They said that the Arkansas Department of Education was revisiting some of the requirements, so they wanted to pull that until they could decide. And then it mentioned, I think, HQT status, and that last week was presented.
We do know that HQT, highly qualified teachers, that guideline has went away. That was enacted in 2002 with No Child Left Behind as an additional requirement. And I won't say any more about that. Most people know how I feel about that requirement. But anyway, as of 2 weeks, they did away with the HQT requirement. It's no longer law.
And the directive assured schools that they will still be required to have licensed and fully licensed teachers for these positions. So nothing's changing, just a requirement.
And I'll speak my mind on the HQT, the whole thing. I think it would jump it through hoops. If a teacher is certified, they've got their certification, that on top of the 60 hours of professional development makes them qualified. The HQT, in my mind, did nothing to make them a better teacher. That's just my opinion for whatever it's worth. So, anyway, we're gonna pull those.
So anyway, we have the other revisions before us, except sections 5.11, 3.19, and 4.11, which we will revisit and hopefully get back with the correct wording in place. And I hope y'all had as much fun reading these as I did.
Well, I had serious questions about 5.11.
Yes.
My favorite was the telegraph line. And Pony Express, too.
Yeah.
So anyway, hopefully y'all have read those, and we can go ahead and act on those others if the board so chooses. And I would entertain a motion for approval of what is presented to us, minus those 3 sections with errors.
Just one question before.
Yes.
PPC has reviewed all the proposals.
PPC has.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are these going to take effect immediately or for next year?
I think most of these will take effect immediately because they're not anything that.
They're mostly just
Yes.
language, wording
Right.
changes, cleaning
That's right.
up. So the PPC has reviewed.
They have. Verna was a part of that process as well, right, Verna?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And Lola said kind of the same thing, that these were again just updates and sort of thing. So they have reviewed them.
I make a motion that we approve the ASBA policies as currently written, with the exception of 3.19, 4.11, and 5.11.
Okay, thank you for that motion. We have a second.
Yes, sir, I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion, a second on approval of our presented policies minus the 3 sections with errors. Those in favor?
All right.
Thank you for your vote on that.
Thank you for going over those. Oh, that's a lot of reading.
We move to Agri classroom building update.
Okay, you guys may have seen some equipment on the lot down there. They are getting ready this week to try to do some dirt work. They were just trying again to make sure that they were working around our students, so we'll start seeing some things start to shape up on that this week. I think we actually looked and picked out the block that they're trying to match up. It's just what matches his color scheme, but it's really similar to what's in the safe room. It's a colored block that doesn't need painting, which to me is something you really, we don't want the painted block because it becomes a long-term maintenance nightmare. So if you can get the colored block, but again, they still tell me there's no problem with that one starting now and being done by the time school starts. So very excited to get that project underway. Any questions on there will, just to note, there will be a change order coming on it. Roughly, the fire marshal sent back that it had to be a firewall between the existing barn and the back of the building. If you kind of think about, we've got the existing barn and we're building the classroom out toward the amphitheater, and in the plan that didn't have a firewall there, and so you have to make a double-sided block wall that had the little separation, and it gives it a fire rating, and that wasn't in the plan. So I'll come back to you with it'll be a $5,000 or $6,000 change order that we don't have a choice on it. That's the fire marshal had brought that to our attention. So just a FYI on that.
All right, middle school update.
Hopefully you've been able to see a lot of the things that are going on at the middle school as you've driven by and watched the PE facility come up in the last few weeks, and seeing the block layers are really going to town on the block, both inside and outside. They're putting a Duralast. You may have seen Roberts McNutt advertised on the TV lately. He is one of the premier waterproofers in the state, and they're putting a roof that's similar to what we have on the existing building. And remember, that's a roof that's going to be good for a really, really long time. And so they're putting that on wing C, B, and A now, and so making great progress with that. We had a construction meeting this morning, which Tom was at, and the best I can describe it, we are on time, we are on budget, doing exactly what we said. 26 new classrooms, 10 renovated classrooms, a PE facility, and so well pleased with where we are and being able to not have to take anything out and do exactly what we had hoped to do. So we're very excited about the progress of the building. Tom, anything you want to add?
I would just report to y'all that I wish that y'all had had the opportunity to walk through this morning as I did, and I just can't tell you how excited I am about the way the building is going to look and how it's progressing, and to report to you also as we go through these meetings that our architect has done exactly what we have paid them to do, and they delivered us a quality product with complete instructions for our builder, and our builder is doing what they need, and they're working so well together as a team that we just haven't had any issues that have arisen. And a lot going on, a lot of different trades involved, and no issues have come to the front. So our plans were well in place before we started, and we're just running right down the road getting what we decided to pay for. So it's really good to report that, and to see our team working that well together.
Sure. And anytime any of you guys want to go through that, just get a hold of me and we can go through it. But on a side note, Paul Hull, the construction manager, has said he wants to schedule somewhere toward the end of April, right past testing. He wants to get all the middle school teachers and the board in there. They'll have it kind of closed up, and they'll be a lot further along at that. And he wants to take every middle school and any of our other faculty wants to go on a tour through that. So he's going to try to schedule that in late April. But again, anytime you want to go through, just let me know. We'll get you a hard hat and we'll walk through it. See anything. It's pretty exciting.
It's very impressive from 1,000 feet.
Sir, from
It's
1,000 feet?
From 1,000.
Exactly.
Take us a picture next time you're over, Mark. And
I can't let go of the wheels. The plane that I'm presently flying, I might wind up putting a hole in your new building.
test that Duralast roof, huh?
I have
It's
no
that
doubt.
antique airplane I fly. It's not.
it's gonna be a great facility. Kids will really benefit from that. So we're very excited.
Okay, anything to add to the new business section?
I need to add a student transfer as always. So, Marcia, day or two before the board meeting, we always get a petition to transfer in. So you should have a copy of a student transfer.
Just one.
Just one from Russellville. Russellville to Dover. Have all of you had a chance to read this? This is again a situation where I think this move is best for the kid. His grandparents are here. His parents live in Russellville and I think he's been in the military and certainly it's a hardship for the parents to take. I've talked to Russellville about the student and I think it's in the best interest of the student if we approve this transfer from Russellville to Dover.
Well, I'll make a motion, we approve the transfer as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any questions? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any further items under new business?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move to the personnel section, and with a couple things that we got going on, I'm assuming that we would like to adjourn into executive session.
Yes, sir.
Get a briefing on those, the things that are covered on the personnel section of our agenda, and we will reconvene shortly. Thank you. right, we'll move back into open session after an executive session to discuss personnel issues. Mr. Owens, do you have some recommendations for us?
Have one termination, that's Jonathan Dyer as bus driver, Votech driver, and paraprofessional, and one election, Elaine Murray as a route bus driver, and Votech bus driver, and paraprofessional at the Votech. So I'd recommend those items be acted on.
Elaine is here tonight.
Oh, Elaine. Yeah, Lane, I'm sorry. Hey, Lane, how are you? Good. Good. I told him you just popped in out of New York and ready to drive.
Pretty much.
Good
I
deal.
wanted to just come here to speak with you guys and let you meet me as well.
Thank you, we're thrilled to have you here.
Welcome aboard.
Well, thank
You
I'm
bet.
thrilled to be aboard.
Good deal.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent on those three items.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further questions? Not those in favor.
Aye.
Good deal.
And then our last.
Thank you, Lane. Yeah,
Welcome
thank you.
officially
Welcome
now.
aboard.
So,
Yeah, good deal.
And our last item is D, administrator contract.
We'll recommend the following administrators have their contracts renewed for next year. Josh Daniels, elementary principal. Ryan Staggs, elementary assistant principal. Donnie Forehand, middle school principal. Jolynn Taverner, high school principal. Brad Kaufman, high school assistant principal. And Verna Bosnick, academic mentor and federal program coordinator. I recommend that we employ these guys for next year.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion is second. Any questions? Those in favor? Any further business?
I would just say, I can't, again, the jobs that the principals do, the difficulty of what they do, the time they're at ball games, and again, these guys put in lots of time, and these guys have a heart for kids. I'm around them every day, and so I thank you guys so much. I know they're at the ball game now, but they give up lots of time and lots of hours, and I appreciate so much what they do. There's Josh back there.
I second that, Jerry.
Yeah, I hope they stay a long time.
We are proud of our administrators, and
Yes,
we
we
are
are.
proud of those extra efforts and the results that they produce with our kids in our community. So
Absolutely.
we applaud them also. Thank you.
You bet.
Glad to have you here every night, as you're probably our most faithful attendee, so I'd like to recognize you and the others that are here tonight. And again, along with our new employee, we say welcome. So if there's no further business, I will declare us adjourned.
Thank you, guys.